I have one floor fan on and one AC turned on, and I'm speaking through the JD950 condenser microphone. Both of these microphones are USB, by the way. Let's switch over to FIFINE K658. Hello, Mike. This is how the FIFINE K658 sounds. So right then and there, you would see the difference. You'd hear the difference between a condenser microphone and a dynamic microphone in terms of background noise suppression. And the dynamic microphone would definitely do way better than a condenser microphone. The only pro of a condenser microphone is that it would potentially be clearer than a dynamic microphone, of course at the cost of picking up a lot of the background noise. So before we get started, let me give you a quick background on when I started to get into microphones. Back in year 2016, 2017, my friends and I in college formed a band. I've gotten into recording then, and I've used both analog condenser microphones and analog dynamic microphones. One thing I've learned is that dynamic microphones are way better for me to use because I have a power vocal. Therefore, I shout a lot into microphones and I would tend to overload condenser microphones. And that's still one of the problems I have even with my USB condenser microphones. So let's do a little bit of an unboxing here upon the company's request. Right, as you open the box, you will find some parts here like the shock mount, the microphone itself, and the ring lock right here. Let me show you how it's done. So first, you attach the microphone over to the shock mount and then lock it with the ring. This one. There you go. Moving over, we've got the cable as usual. And its tripod stand. Aside from that, you also get a 3/8 to 5/8 inch adapter for the thread. So this microphone has a really sturdy build with matte coating. I think this is steel, but I could be wrong. It could be hard plastic, but the coating and the finish is really very good. Shock mount is made really well and holds the microphone firmly despite its weight. Foam cap is removable. Just twist its base off to unscrew it. The USB-C cable is rare, being thick but flexible, so very rarely do I ever get these kinds of cables. The tripod stand is special with a weight of this much. The heaviest microphone tripod stand I have ever held. So this microphone also has very minimal branding and a very neat design. It's got a touchpad for muting, a touchpad for the RGB switch as well. Please note that you cannot change the RGB color of this microphone, which is one of the cons that we'll be discussing today. The knob feels pretty premium in fact, with no snapping mechanism, which is what I would have preferred to make gain staging more accurate and consistent. Underneath, you get its USB-C input and its 3.5mm port for both audio playback and monitoring. So now we are at our settings to see more controls over here. Head over to your sound control panel. There we go. Over here, you will find the speakers for FIFINE K658. And over at levels, you will see the microphone volume. This is not the volume of your gain actually. This is the monitoring volume. So if you want to turn this down, you have the option for that one. You can also turn it off and mute monitoring. Again, this is different from your recording volume. Alright? So even if we mute this one over here, you would see that our microphone is still picking up sound. I'm gonna turn my gain up to about 100%. First, let's go to 50%. This is how it sounds like. I don't know if we're clipping. Maybe we are. Maybe we are not. Let's go to 100%. So this is 100%. You're hearing a lot more of the background noise. Maybe my voice a lot fuller. But then again, at the cost of so much noise from your background. Let's turn it down back to our volume a while ago, around 25%. Now we're going to be testing its plosive cancellation capabilities with a B's and a P's and a P, 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 P. If you blow into the microphone, of course, there will be some sort of distortion there, and I don't think that's a huge problem for me. I could just add another foam on top at the cost of picking up less of the bass, but this microphone's capsule already picks up a lot of the low ends, so I don't think that's gonna be a problem for me if I want to use this for vocals. But other than that, I don't think it's gonna be a huge problem if you're gonna use this for podcasting or gaming or maybe voiceovers. Okay, so for the pros and the cons, let's start with the pros. One thing, being a dynamic microphone, this does not clip easily compared to a condenser microphone, which has a very sensitive capsule. Also, the build is just very aesthetic. RGB overall, and the matte finish, very good, very premium. The touchpads are very responsive. I've had microphones in the past that have touchpads as well, but they're not very responsive. GT950's touchpad doesn't work anymore. Next is that this is being marketed as a podcast microphone, as you can see in its box. Okay, so being a podcast microphone, its low end is very good. As you can see, there's more bass in my voice, which then leads me to, is this a mic that's good for vocals in terms of singing and recording? I would say you can customize your voice definitely in post-processing, like putting some high-pass filter over your voice, just so that you can cut and chop the low end a little bit. And also, by the way, this is a USB microphone, so you're not gonna be needing a sound card just like this one anymore. For the cons, I could only think of two. So, number one, you cannot customize the RGB, which is a very little nitpick. Not very important to me. I don't really mind much about RGB anyways. And the second con is that the shock mount is proprietary. So you break its shock mount, it will be difficult for you to mount this microphone elsewhere. It's not like you're gonna use this shock mount to hit someone in the face. So I think it's just alright. So for the price of 4,400, the question is this microphone a good buy for you? I mean, a good buy. Good B-U-Y, not goodbye. Okay? I would say it is. I'm very much pleased with how this isolates your voice. It picks up a little bit of the background noise, sure, but not as much as our condenser microphones. Another thing about this one is that I was not expecting you to be able to control your monitoring volume over at the playback settings of your control panel, but then I hope that is not an existing song. We might get a copyright strike. But anyways, am I recommending this microphone? I definitely am. For podcasting, gaming, voiceovers, for vocals, I think this would be a good vocal microphone for you as well if you're planning to use this for recording and singing.